What's up, guys? Rick Dem here, Holy Moly Outdoors. Thank you so much for joining us today. I got a great product to show you because, again, we are in spring. This is the fun time of the year. We have so many things opening up just around the corner, and I want to kind of continue with the trout realm because I feel like there's so much to explore for you guys that are just getting into the sport, and I want to showcase to you a couple great lures that just really helps you out. Today we are focusing on a lure that has stood the test of time and caught so many fish, it's unbelievable. Today we are talking about the Yakima Bait Flat Fish. Now, I have fished a flatfish my entire life. That's really kind of one of the first things that my parents introduced to me. My dad took me out. We were trolling around flatfish and just absolutely doing work on these big opener fish. I mean, we have a lot of lakes that get stocked with some very nice fish at the start of the season, and even those small planters are an absolute kick on these things. So what we're going to talk about today not only is just the Yakima Bait Flatfish, but we're going to explore a couple of my favorite sizes and my top 5 colors that I would pick for the springtime. So stay tuned. This is going to be fun. Alright guys, so we said that we're going to talk about a couple different sizes. Now, I would say for a wide universal opening day trout, if you're going to go that route of that specifically you're targeting trout, whether you're casting them from the bank or you're trolling them from some kind of boat, the flatfish works amazing because it creates a ton of wild, erratic action at super slow speeds. So you could be somebody from a pontoon boat float tube, or you could be somebody who has a small electric trolling motor and you're on a small boat. It works great for all those different things because it creates action at such a slow speed. And 2 sizes that I would recommend for this time of the year are going to be your F5 and your F4 flatfish. And they come in a ton of fish catching colors, and every single one of them will catch fish. But I have a couple that are my favorite. So what I'm going to start with is the F5 because that seems to be more my big fish getter. But the time of the year all depends on what the fish want. So starting with the F5, we're going to go with my favorite 5 colors. So I would say starting at number 5, I am going to go with something with contrast. This one happens to be just a solid jet black with Chartreuse Eyes. It really works well in your contrast of stain water. Even clear water, it stands out to those fish. It looks just like a leech or some kind of bug imitation trying to scurry away. It has a really great action, and you guys will do well with something like that. Number 4, I would have to bring to the table one of these UV colors. This happens to be, I believe it's a shrimp pattern, but I'd have to look back. I'll put it up here and in the link description below. But this one is a straight UV color that really does well in your big lake situations that have a lot of bait fish, and really does number on big cutthroat and rainbows. So I always have this one in my box for those types of situations. Now, my number 3 would definitely have to be the Spring Frog color. The Spring Frog color is a chartreuse with a contrasting green around it to create frog-like spots. And this thing, hopefully it shows up enough for you guys there. I'm really trying to get that green to show, but you can kind of see the contrasting spots on it. But this color really works well in a stained water condition or something you want a lot of drawing power. The way the action is of these flatfish, they draw fish from a wide range just because of the vibration alone, and then the color and action triggers them to bite. So stained water or a lot of drawing power, this Spring Frog is definitely going to be where I sit at number 3. Now, number 2 is going to be the gold. Gold works so well in so many different water conditions because it creates a unique flash in the water. On your cloudy days, it works exceptionally well, and even on your sunny days you have a different type of reflection to it, which even pops more in the water. Silver would work too. I'm saying that it doesn't, but for me gold seems to be a little bit more productive just on an average basis, so gold is my number 2. Now my number 1 is got to be the frog, just the standard original frog pattern. I have caught so many big fish and just sheer numbers on the frog. Every year consistently this frog F5 just flat out catches me fish. So I'm usually starting off with one rod with the F5 frog, and then I'm using something different in contrast, whether I want a metallic color for a shiny bright day, or I want something that's super opposite end of the spectrum. You go with the standard frog or the spring frog. Two have very different color contrasts, and the fish will tell you what they want. So that's the beauty of being able to do any kind of trout fishing. Now we then break into the F4 size, and I would definitely say those top 5 colors I mentioned for the F5 flatfish are what I would use in my F4s, but I want to add one color that you could even substitute. Now this UV one is definitely on my top 5 as I shared, but something that should be in the mix as well and is probably right on the verge, if not in that top 5 as a tie, is gotta be this watermelon. Now the watermelon has a metallic green speckle flash flake on top, has spots all the way around it with the pink underbelly, and this one seems to be a just straight producer all the way around. And then I just go back to my other colors like we mentioned for the F5. So the frog, the spring frog, that UV gold, and the black. But something that'll help you guys with flatfish is to keep in mind they do create a lot of action, which can prevent, or cause I should say, line twist. And in order to prevent that line twist, what you can work to do is put a small swivel up your line. You can do it about 1 foot to 2 feet above, and that will really help reduce a lot of that line twist as you're fishing throughout the day, catching fish, which makes you a lot more effective in the water. The lure gets the most action it needs, and it's just a great way all around. Now, the 2 sizes I mentioned are not all that Yakima Bait carries. You have everything from going up a size to an F7, which is a great bigger fish lure. Right up here you'll see a really nice lake trout that I got a couple years back on that spring frog color, really just trolling for big trout on the surface, and shoot, happened to get a really nice laker to come up and grab it. You can then downsize that and go to something like an F2. Now an F2 is a micro flatfish, and this happens to be one that is about 1 inch long, has just a single hook on that thing. So if you're looking for something super finesse, or you have single hook restrictions and you need just something that will be a little bit different than what's other out there, that will do it for you. But for trout, for spring, that is the 2 colors that I will recommend for you size wise, and the colors are all listed there. Before I let you go, I have a cool tip for you that'll increase your strikes exponentially. And while the action alone on the Warren's flatfish really is just a fish catcher, it draws them in, it draws strikes, everything, but scent always helps. Now, fishing trout, especially here in Washington State, you guys have to look at your regulations, because using scent is considered bait, or using any kind of bait as a tip or trailer or anything like that. You have to keep the first 5 fish you catch, or if you release any of those fish, they have to count towards your limit. And the limit in Washington State pretty much everywhere on trout is 5 fish. So keep that in mind, read your regulations first, but scent is what we're talking about here to help increase your strikes. Now, if I'm going to add scent to a flatfish, I'm doing one of two things. I'm going to apply some kind of scent to the top section of the lure itself. So I would take one of my Sporting chapstick scents in either like a night crawler, or this one happens to be krill. Pop the cap off of it here, and I would just rub it all over the back of this lure, and I'm fishing and gonna be just straight catching them, going to town. Really effective. You can use the gel scents, you can do all that, but I have found time and time again those chapstick scents from Sporting just are so hassle free because it just isn't a lot of mess. Then what I will do as my second way of scenting, if you don't happen to have liquid scents or whatever, but hey, you're trout fishing, maybe you got a little bit of this in your boat. A little power bait. Power bait is one of just the standard, all around best trout catching baits you can use. It's got the natural scents that they use in the fish hatcheries to feed those fish, so they key in on it. Well, you're going to say, oh, how the heck do you put power bait on a flatfish? Well, what you end up doing, open your cap of your jar. This one's new. You would pop this open, grab a little bit out, roll it into a ball that's probably about the size of, I don't know, your fingernail, and you're going to look at your hook itself. Now, this happens to be an F4 that has a little bit bigger hook, so I would take that little ball of power bait, shove it up from the bottom of those treble hooks there, and try and form it around the treble hook. So what you get is a little dough ball around that treble hook, which is a consistent scent disbursement system, and those fish are going to track the movement of the lure, and they're going to come right behind it and smell that and instantly grab it. It's just another way to trigger fish, and let me tell you, not only does it catch a lot of fish doing it this way, but this brings out those big boys, because the action alone will draw fish in, but when you have a large trout, they are not large by accident. They are smart. So they may come up to the lure and investigate it and say, oh, that looks really good, but then all of a sudden that scent just sends them over the top, and boom, they hit it. So you can go from, you know, hooking 8 to 10 inch planters, and now all of a sudden you're putting 14 to 18 inch trout in your boat, and you're going home with a very nice limit. So that is the Yakima Bait Warden's Flatfish. F4, F5 are the killer sizes. You guys should go pick a couple up for this opening trout season. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Really hope you enjoyed this video. I have a ton more coming on the way. Really can't wait to show you guys what's next. So thanks a lot for staying tuned. If you like this, give us a thumbs up, subscribe below, and we'll catch you in the water real soon. Take care, guys. Fish on!